I am so passionate about the topic of collaboration. And Morgan and I went back and forth a few days ago when she reminded me I had tonight's call about the topic. And her and I did a call in Beatnik a few years ago about success partners and the power in working smarter, not harder, and finding someone that's a good fit for you. And she's like, let's not get too formal, but let's talk about the power of collaboration. So tonight, just given that we are about 6 weeks from kicking off the new year, and I'm deep into writing December content for Pixel and Hue, I want to talk about how we can wrap up 2022 feeling fabulous. Okay, so first things first, tons and tons of excitement off of you guys seeing us at leadership, you getting the news about all the shifts and messaging, et cetera, everything that's happening and coming, right? So I wanted to just take the time to check in. Like, how are you feeling right now? I don't know if you caught the national wake-up call this morning or you decided, you know what, today I'm gonna have to just prioritize the playback. Most Mondays I don't catch it live because that's right during the time I get my boys off to school, and that's like sacred time for me. But I was able to catch it today since they were sick, and Mariah White talked about sometimes when things are so exciting and change is happening, and even when the change is good, it can almost paralyze you, right? You're like, I don't know everything. I want to research. What do I do until March when all the things are happening, right? And I was like, that's me. You're talking to me this morning. I feel like the last month, even though I'm really excited and I fully believe in this, in the shift in the messaging about health esteem, I'm just kind of like sitting back. Instead, I'm like overthinking things. Anyone else feel a little bit like that? Maybe you don't. Or maybe you're just second guessing yourself, or maybe you're finding yourself thinking more than doing. However you're feeling, I just want to say, that's okay. It's okay. And so I want to just do a little bit of reflecting right now. Just a second. And as we go into this first reflecting exercise, I'm going to remind you of something. When you answer questions or you're reflecting on something, Nolan, this, of course, this is happening right now. It is merely data, you guys. So what you're reflecting in your, whatever your answers are, it's just data that you're going to use. It's not defining you as a human. It's not to make you feel bad. Maybe it's going to make you feel like a badass. I just want to let you know, this is not to question your character. It's to figure out where you are right now and why, and what you need to do moving forward for the next 6 weeks to make sure, please stop right now, to make sure that you're ending the year feeling fabulous. So how are you feeling right now? Say in the comments, be completely honest. If you're kicking ass and taking names, say it. If you feel like you're going through the motions, like first and foremost, you're here, right? So that's a big deal. This is a time commitment. Yeah, say how you're feeling right now. Me personally, I feel like one day I'm like, yeah. And the next day I'm like, oh my God, how is it 4 o'clock? I haven't posted to my stories. So just go ahead and, yeah, Ash, I'm here. I'm struggling with the balance of it all, but you're here, right? Who else? I'm frustrated. Let's hear some good stuff too. You can be frustrated, but also have good stuff with it, right? Like you can feel multiple things. Some days I feel like I'm crushing it, and some days I feel like I'm running and getting nowhere. I was in a funk the last few weeks. My kids and I have been so homesick and struggling with not having service anywhere in Texas and struggling with my dad's health. So the theme here is, right, like, this is real life. We can't control everything. Some days are gonna go exactly according to plan, and other days it's going to be like, what, right? But I'm also so excited about everything that's coming up. Yep. And I think the next thing that I want to share is it feels good to check in with yourself, right? Like no matter what your answers are, just to get honest with yourself. And well, for me, it does. Maybe you're at the point where you don't want to check in with yourself because then you go down a downward spiral. That's when you have to come in and remind yourself, the reflecting, like this isn't an end all be all. It's information that's going to help you figure out what you need to do to end the year feeling fabulous. So with that said, let's get a little bit more refocused. Let's get a little bit more realigned. Let's get realistic. Again, if you missed it at the beginning of the call, Ian's in Washington, D.C. until Wednesday. My kids are probably walking around with pneumonia right now. I sound like shit. Tomorrow, am I going to do healthy obsession? No. You know what I mean? So stay realistic with yourself and be okay with success looking different every single day. If there is one thing that two things that I've taken away and learned in the last 3 years of being a coach when life has really happened for me. Grit is necessary. Grace is necessary. Grit and grace together, it's a power couple. But in order to operate with grit and grace, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. And it's so easy, you guys, to let your business fall to the bottom. It's so easy to stop showing up and sharing the things that bring you joy, that create the conversations in the inbox. My inbox right now, when I'm sharing about my kids being sick, so many people can relate. And I wasn't even going to share about it today because I'm like, I look like shit. I feel like shit. Who wants to have this moper on social media? No. Show up and be relatable because that's when the conversations are going to happen, So I had to dig a little deeper today and operate with grit, but also give myself grace in that it's okay to show up and look a hot mess today because real life. And the second thing, power of the people. Power of the people. Everyone hear that right now? We are women. We can do a lot on our own. We can power through. We can dig deep with all the grit, but you know what we can do even better? And when we operate even better, when we link arms with others who get us, who support us, who validate our feelings, who help us dig deep for that grit and remind us of giving ourselves grace. Those that help us work smarter, not harder. So AKA collaborate. And so I think that segues really well into the next question I want to ask you right now. So lots of emotions, right? Like approaching the holidays, kids are getting sick because our immune systems are so shitty from the last 2 years. It's just normally kind of a bit crazier of a season right now. So what are you doing to help yourself with that when you're thinking about your business? Are you hosting a group right now, a challenge group or an accountability group, whatever you want to call it, but going through the motions because you're doing it on your own and like no one's really depending on you, like no one else is showing up, so why am I going to show up? Like what does your community look like right now? How about your coach page? Our November group is doing really well, but you want to know why? Because I'm collaborating with girls on my team and I'm sharing, hey girls, I need to lean on you a little bit more. I'm showing up for myself, probably not going to be commenting on all the things, so I don't feel bad about the way that I'm showing up because I know that the rest of our community is getting that good high energy right now. And it's relieving that pressure off of me. So again, what are you doing right now to lean into the power of the people as we approach this busy time, as we dash through the last 6 weeks of 2022. What are you doing to plan for the unexpected that pops up? And I think that's what's most important. If you're kicking ass and taking names right now, who knows if that'll be you next, like, who knows, right? So drop a comment in the chat below and tell me what your accountability, like your community group situation looks like right now. Do you co-host? Do you have a texting thread with just, you know, a few of your customers? Like, what does that look like for you right now? Yeah, Britt. And if you follow Brittany Zillig on social media, she's one of my most favorite people to follow. And I don't, like, I'm done having kids, and I don't, like, I would have never been the exclusive breastfeeding, pumping mom, but like, I can tell she's finding joy in what she's sharing, and she's embracing the season she's in, you know? So, and people see that, and she's showing up a hot mess too. Right, Britt? Like, you're just showing up in real life. Okay, let's read some of them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, babe.
Finding joy in like the season that you're in, and sharing and serving is like a big thing that I've kind of dialed into. And guess what? I'm connecting with a lot of moms that have had babies right around the time I have, or I am. And those moms are going to be looking for workouts and health accountability in a couple months, just like I am.
They are going to think of you when they're ready, and you've caught their attention, and maybe it's not turning into a sale right now. I was looking over like customer engagement cycle today, and like acquisition and retention and all those fun things, and making that connection, and you replying thoughtfully and from your heart, like, that's where it starts. And even today with talking about sickness, you know, I'm not currently committed to a program, but I'm leaning into body, and I don't feel good enough to go do a workout, but I showed that I'm on my tread this morning. I showed that I spilled my Energize everywhere, and I'm like, I'm just laughing through it right now. And that's relatable. So lean into how you're feeling and where you are authentically, however it feels for you. Okay, back to our group. Let's see, co-host with other coaches. It's okay, not fire, it's on me. You just reminded me it's so nice when others are also helping commenting. Yep. Thank God I leaned in and collaborated with others. Co-host bod group with my customers. I am the host of my bod group. I still use my uplines group because my team isn't big enough yet co-hosting. I have a text thread. I have a little bod group. I have a Facebook group. I'm loving my bod group. It's one of the smallest ones I've ever done, but everyone is checking in daily, and that's what I want. My Instagram accountability group is on fire. My Facebook comes in waves of tons of check-ins, texting thread, co-host. So a lot of the same things. And I think this is a reminder for all of us too. Check in and get honest with yourself. When's the last time you made a change in your group? When's the last time you tried something new? When is the last time you asked someone to meet you in the virtual gym? Like, think about what you're doing right now and why the energies are the way that they are, and figure out what you can do to just make it a little bit better. Because as we know, there's always room for improvement, right? Let's see, what else do I have? Anyone else want to speak up? Is there anything that you're doing right now that you've seen a noticeable difference in the energies in your group? Let's collaborate now, because that's going to lead us into the next thing. No one?
One of my coaches in my downline, she like went off and did her own group, which is great. Like, you know, if you feel comfortable starting your own challenge group, that's awesome. She wanted to connect with her team like more on a personal level, just because our group is bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see, I'm not sure if she's on, or she is on here. Taylor, I see her.
Oh, Taylor, love me some Taylor.
Yeah. And she She just had on her stories today that she dropped off a Lululemon like belt bag or whatever for the girl that was in her challenge group last month that won. So I know like I'll do anything for a free t-shirt or a free cup. So like even if you just have like some decals that can go in a little envelope in the mail and you don't actually have to pay for like shipping, it can go in like a greeting card and all you have to do is put like a stamp on it. I know stamps aren't 35 cents anymore. I don't even know what they are, but you just put a stamp on it and you put it in the mail, and that person will love to represent that decal on their cup, whatever it says, goals, whatever your team name is, anything. But like a Lululemon belt bag, like those are so popular, and she did a giveaway for that. So you're awesome, Taylor.
That is amazing, Taylor. And I think too, sometimes as coaches, it's easy to see like how Nikki just hosted that bomb ass retreat and these other established coaches, or even the example about the Lululemon belt bag, like, oh my gosh, like I would love to give that away, but that's just out of my budget. It is not necessary to do all of these big, robust things. Like even taking the time to send individual one-on-one messages about, hey, I noticed that you did this and I appreciate you showing up in the group because you make it what it is. Like carving out time for that is what fuels our gals to show up a little bit more, right? It encourages them. And listen, if I get a handwritten card in the mail, that's not going in the trash. Like I'm saving that. That's solid gold to me. So I love that. Anyone else?
Something I started doing that, especially for a lot of you guys that are newer coaches, I don't even remember when I started doing this, but when I run groups, usually I try and run one with whatever program I'm doing. And then I have like, my ongoing group. So usually what I'll do is just start like an Instagram message thread, because that's heavily where I work. It's Instagram. That's where people are in DMs. So I just keep it right there. And if we're doing, let's say 21-day fix or whatever program we're doing, we check in, daily there, because we're all on the same day. We're all starting together. And something I started doing is for the people that finish that program with me, like Britt said, just a little sticker or something small. Like, I don't know if you can see this. So I guess I started doing it last year, but when we all did Transform 20, I had these custom stickers made for people to put on their steps. So, it's cost like $8 for a sticker. Or we did a body group one time with my customers. And so whoever finished the calendar, when they would check in on the last day, I would just write their name down in a note. So I would know how many people, checked in, and send them something. And I get so many people that are like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, even if they never put that sticker anywhere and it's just sitting behind their computer, like me acknowledging like, hey, you finished this, like keep going. That's really big for them too. So I think that goes a long way.
Joy, I see your hand raised.
I knew you would see that. I'm gonna shock you all. I hate spirit days. I hate point systems. I don't have time for it. I don't want to do it. I don't have any joy in that. I hate when it's Red Ribbon Week and I have to find costumes for my kids. I mean, like, why? Like, why? Especially when they do it at Halloween time. I'm sure there's somebody else out there who feels it's that way that I do. I love seeing people have so much joy in it. Chelsea Crick, my girl. I mean, I love it. I love seeing you post that. I just don't have, it's not my joy thing. So I'm sharing that with you all because there is another thing you can do. And it just is acknowledging the effort that you see coming from people. You don't need to track a point system or have a competition or try to get fancy with anything. You don't need to be thinking outside of the box. That your customers don't care about that. And if that's really important to them, maybe that's not a good match. That's fine. But if you just acknowledge by sending them a sample of the new flavor of Energize or whatever, a handwritten note, like what he said, you can do that and still be somehow incentivizing without stealing the joy from what you love to do with coaching.
I completely agree. Completely agree. I was just thinking too, Morgan and I have been chatting about, she used to post these fun Fridays every week. Like she'd like do this fun dance and like tag and we made a reel a few weeks ago, and then life happened for me. And I'm like, the simple things like that, like, what if you even were like, what color do we want to choose for this month? And every Friday, everyone wore that color. And, you know, like little things. I know, Joy, that's not your favorite, you were just saying, but you know, there's just so many different ways that you can create that community and get that excitement up just a little bit. But you do have to put forth a little bit of effort, right? Okay, so just to quickly recap. So in order to make sure that we are doing the things, so we wake up on January 1st, 2023, feeling fabulous. We're gonna check in with ourselves. We're gonna be viciously honest. We're going to acknowledge our season of life. We are going to commit to using grit and grace as a power couple. We are going to lean into the power of the people. Someone that doesn't, maybe they're not even in your exact season of life. When Morgan and I became success partners, the first thing she told me was, I've attempted to collaborate with moms before. This is before she was a mom, and it hasn't worked out. She's like, they use their kid as an excuse. And she's like, and I know mom life is hard. And she's like, but it just hasn't been a priority. And I'm looking for someone who's really serious about growing their business. And so I was like, let's go, watch me do. So figure out what it is that you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to wake up on January 1st. Like, are you okay with just getting realigned in you and your personal journey and helping 3 people get started and hitting Success Club? Or do you want to hit that diamond goal that you set however many months ago? Do you want to help 2 coaches get to Emerald and beyond? Like, what exactly is it that you want to do? And how do you want to feel? Like, get specific with that. And then find someone or even a pod of people to collaborate up with. And that doesn't mean overhauling your groups and running it means organize a Zoom like this. Dial in just a quick brainstorm session where you guys can bounce ideas off of each other, where you can fuel one another, not have a bitch session, but like, oh, you're having that issue. I've been there and this is how I worked through it. You know, like it's those types of things that you're going to feel the power of the people. Think about, is there someone that you love and admire that you follow on Instagram or Facebook, or you always see posting in the coach pages? Like, why? Do you need to reach out to them and just tell them thank you for showing up the way they do? Do you need to say like, hey, I'm looking to put together a small group of coaches to collab to dash through the end of the year? Like, what is it that you want to do? Don't wait for someone to reach out to you. You organize it. Don't wait for your coach to check in with you. Check in with yourself. Joy, you still have your hand up. Is that purposely? Okay. So that collaborating, that sharing energies, that being proactive, find the fun and joy that we just talked about. It's not too early to start promoting your December group. I don't give a shit if you just started your November group. We did. That's fine. What are you excited about for December? You don't have your graphics? I don't care. Talk about, my November group is going so good and I am brainstorming on how December is going to be even better. Start talking about it now. And again, in that little collab sesh that you have that you're going to organize or that you're going to reach out to someone about, maybe the ideas are going to come from there. Or maybe something sparked tonight that you're like, I'm definitely going to implement that in next month. Morgan's planning to do, what was it? What was yours called for December? I can't remember.
If we do the same theme, I don't know who was around last year, but it was like, we called it Seize the Day, or Slay the Season, but Seize the Day. And it was kind of just a really fun group for December, where we did like daily tasks, but kind of turned them into like a bingo card. And just, it was a way as a coach to like give back to our loyal customers. A lot of it was just current customers. It wasn't a ton of new people. It was coaches that had lost their joy because they weren't doing things that filled them up. They weren't being a challenger first. So I just woke up this morning, like when you asked, I know I stepped out at the beginning of the call, so I missed the first call, but when you said like, where are you at now? Like the past 2 weeks, I'm like, but this morning I woke up for the first time. I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do all of this. And I literally was just like, why am I not doing this group again? It was probably one of the best groups I've ever run. It was so fun. I have this amazing group of gals that we collaborate with already, with Chelsea and Joy and Sarah and Britt. So I was like, I want to do this. Like, let's do it again and let's make it fun, you know? So even just stuff like that, like just being like, I am not the person I would consider creative. I'm not a creative brain in that way. So like just trying to get those juices flowing even a little bit and think outside of the box, like you'll surprise yourself how much fun it is to do some stuff like that.
And then with content that I'm writing for Pixel and Hue, in November this month, we are doing a daily gratitude where you book in your day. This in the morning, you say what you're thankful for, and in the evening you do it. And I'm like, November 1st through 30th, do it every day. Well, next month, I'm like, you know what? That puts pressure on people. So next month, I'm planning on writing up a 12 days of do good for groups where like you have 31 days in December, 12 of those days, make sure that you're being intentional about doing something good. So see, like maybe those two ideas will spark an idea for you and you'll be able to make it your own. So finding the fun and the joy, that's the third one. And the last thing that I want to share, I know we're just about out of time, but how often do you hear the word be consistent? Just be consistent. Be consistent. So going back to what Britt said about connecting with so many moms right now, and you know, in 3 months, 4 months, they might reach back out to me. They might be ready. What is one thing you can commit to? Literally one thing. And I know we have some overachievers. Ashley Wininger, you and I do this all the freaking time. What is one thing? I want to share my Energize and use my face roller. Like that's two things. What is one thing that you want to show up and share every single day from here until the new year? And if you miss one day, you're not going to be like, oh, chuck it in the fucking bucket. I'm not perfect, so I'm going to stop. Like, what is that one thing that you will share daily that will make people think of you when they wake up on January 1st and they're like, I'm ready to get my shit together? How can you show them that you're the consistent one that they need to help them get their shit together? All right. So hopefully that little truth talk, someone I know said gut check, identify how you want to wake up on January 1st. Why? What are the goals that you want to achieve? What are you currently doing? Like, are your actions aligned with the effort right now? Are your actions and effort aligned with the goals? Words are hard right now. Pivot. You don't have to overhaul. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to make these big miraculous changes or tweaks, or, you know, turn the volume just a little bit, make little tweaks, and I promise it will make a huge impact. Okay. Any questions? Anyone want to share anything?
I was just going to share, I was trying to find this. I just randomly saw someone share this, you know, it's like a quote on Instagram. And this like actually pertains to a workout, but I think it was just interesting, like, because this fits in so many areas of our lives. But we think about consistency and like so many people are like, it means doing the same thing like over and over and over again. But it says consistency doesn't mean never missing a workout. It means continuing to show up after the rest day, the unexpected day off. It's having patience with the process, ignoring the ups and downs, but committing to doing the next step and the next on repeat. And I loved that because, like, say it can go this, if you take out the workout part from the middle, it's more like consistency is having patience with the process and committing to the next step and the next step and the next step. So it doesn't always have to look the exact same, you know, it's just staying consistent with taking those steps forward. And sometimes you're going to take steps back, but then what's the next step forward? If you take a step back, you always take a step forward again. So I really loved that.
Here's another quote I'll leave you with, because I shared this on my story today, but it says, the secret to success is to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. You don't do it because you feel motivated to do it, but you do it because it's necessary. Your success is directly correlated to the work you put in when you don't feel like it.
Agreed. Any questions? Any other comments? I always tend to be the one to come in with like the truth, love, truth talk, but that was for myself tonight too, you know?
Mhm.
There is a reason why we're all here. There's a reason why we all signed up to coach. And sometimes, I don't know, how many people went to Super Weekend? I think it was Bonnie Engel, correct me if I'm wrong, but that she did a talk, and I'll share the slides with the other girls in case they want to share it in their team pages, but it was on simply checking in on engagement. Like, it starts with you and your attitude and what you want. And sometimes, let's see what she say. Am I working off of an old goal? Like, have you lost sight of what you're trying to accomplish? Just acknowledge that. Oh my God, your dog, Joy. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. My kids, I think, are about tapped on their time. I just appreciate all of you sacrificing your 34 minutes tonight to show up. I know I wanted to dig deep and find that grit tonight for you guys. And I just know that we are all so wildly capable, but we can accomplish so much more if we lean into using that power couple, grit and grace, and the power of the people. You don't have to do this alone. It sucks doing it alone. So collaborate. And who do we have next week? Morgan? I can't remember.
Pause. It is me. And then Joy and I, the next week, will be talking about Sure Thing.
Amazing. So
Which the sample will launch today. So
yeah.
if you did not get that sample workout of Sure Thing.
And if you didn't watch this morning's National Wake Up Call, it was a really good one. You should prioritize the playback. I know they're not always good, if I'm being honest, but this morning's was good.
Mhm.
Okay, make sure that you're capturing this right now, share it. I know that, again, this is sacred time, so I appreciate it, and have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Clapping for you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.